The biggest lie being told in American politics in recent weeks has been that the states are involved in a systematic effort to suppress the vote. Those arguments are being made by people who obviously haven't read any of these new state laws, because that's not happening. Look, what this is really about is an effort for the federal government to take over the way we conduct elections in this country. It is a solution in search of a problem. And so finally today, we will put an end to it here in the Senate. The American people can be relieved that the federal government, at least in this area, is not going to expand and supplant the states which have been involved in conducting elections throughout the history of our country.
This would consolidate, federalize, nationalize elections in this country in Washington, D.C. And that is not something, when the American people find out about it, that they're going to be for. Because basically they trust their states a lot more than they trust Washington, D.C. People in this country generally don't believe that Washington knows best when it comes to most issues. But that's what this bill would do. It would take the power away from the states, where it's been for the better part now, or over 2 centuries, and bring it here into Washington, D.C., where bureaucrats in Washington would be running elections in this country.
They say it's about election reform. It's actually about an election takeover by Washington. And it is very unpopular across the board, and there are a couple of reasons why. You just heard about voter ID. People believe that to get a ballot, you should have to prove you are who you say you are. That involves a photo identification. Sure, 80% of Americans are for it. 62% of registered Democrats are for photo ID. 87% of independents are for it. That's what makes their bill unpopular. Also, ballot harvesting. To have paid political operatives go out and collect ballots unsupervised and then decide what to do with it.
The best place to solve most problems is not Washington, D.C. Our friends on the other side think the best place to solve every problem is Washington, D.C.
Folks, this is all about consolidating power, a national power grab to take away the voices from our local elections officials and our state elections officials. So let's focus on the things that matter to our constituencies and less about these D.C. politicians' own wants and desires.